music was so epic.
We all like talking about gaming. The only thing that I disliked about the old game. There are so many different conversations started by gaming.
Oh, I forgot. I have you.
This could be anything. Okay, walk in that green goo. Oh, nope. That's a no. Anything Gaming Podcast. Hi, welcome to Anything Gaming. This is episode 15, where we talk about anything that has to do with gaming. But today in particular, we're really going to wrap up the year and talk about best, worst, all of the type of games in the year. And as always, Woody is here. How are you going, mate?
I'm bracing for the holidays, man. Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping to do my Christmas shopping soon, so I got to do that. A couple more things to decorate. Full disclosure, and I know I might get some pitchforks thrown at me from people. I have not set up my Christmas tree yet. It's coming. It's coming. It's quite filthy right here at the homestead right now, so I got to clean up, get it ready for all the decoration stuff. We just got the wreath. That's probably going to be going up on the door tonight after this. So that's really taken up most of my time. I'm looking forward to it. I like the holiday season. How about you?
Yeah, I do too. I especially liked remembering back to when I was a kid and used to get the latest and greatest game under the tree, or even if you were super lucky, you'd get like a console. Was there one Christmas that you can remember, like a console or a game that just made you?
Christmas 91. Christmas 91. Yeah, like we knew it was coming because we didn't see. The trick is not to ask mom. The trick is to ask the grandmother and the grandfather. Yeah. And every time you go, and they love their grandkids, and we love video games. and we let them know that. So we make sure we see that square box at some point underneath that tree. That was incredible. That was like maybe the perfect, like real young childhood Christmas that I can remember. We got Super Mario World with that Super Nintendo. We got Final Fight and F-Zero. It was a great time. There's other times too, like 98. That wasn't console. That was more games. I got Ocarina of Time and like Turok for that Christmas. Yeah. Actually, it's funny. Christmas 94. The only real significant video game related thing we got was Donkey Kong Country, and I'm not lying. Within that block, like it was like the 25th to the 27th.
Was that just the first Donkey Kong Country, the first one?
The first one.
That was so good.
Me and my brother just like tore through. We got all the secrets, you know what I mean? Because we would just keep playing the game. Once we beat the game, we would play the game over and over and over. I would say in that time frame, no lie, at least 4 times, just straight through, beginning to end. Like we didn't watch TV. We didn't do anything else. We just played that game.
Co-op?
More like, you know, I'm gonna play until I have to go to the bathroom, and then you can play, little brother, and then I'd start playing. which is how it goes, you know. Whatever. Yeah. I got my fill in. It was fun, and you know, it was a really good time. Luckily, he kind of went away from the games, let me do my own thing with them. Do you have any particular memories of any?
I remember sometimes the disappointment of Christmas. Like you would ask for, you'd ask for Grand Theft Auto or something like that, and you would get Gran Turismo. It's almost the same thing, right? Yeah. From your parents' point of view, but I wasn't smart enough to ask the grandparents. You would. I was only asking the parents
because that's the thing. Me and my brother also knew, and I'm not trying to, you know, marginalize the generations here. But one thing I'll give for the kids of today is that no matter how offbeat, off kilter, or unknown the video game they want or the video game console they want, when they go to their parents, the parents at least have a good understanding that even if they don't know the game, even if they don't know the exact thing, they know how to find out about it, and they know well enough to connect the dots onto exactly what they want and what they desire. I went to my mom wanting a Super Nintendo. What's that? It's a Super Nintendo, Mom. How's it super? Why you have a Nintendo? Why do you? They didn't know video games. They didn't know the progression of technology through graphical enhancements and stuff like that. That was alien to them.
Yeah.
So when me and my brother, we understood that if we wanted to get what we wanted to get, we would have to be very direct, very clear. I remember this was further in the timeline.
Listen up, kids. This is how you do it. Okay.
my mother wanted to know what I want for my birthday, and I had to lay it out. This is what you ask for when you go there. It was a Sega Dreamcast with Sonic Adventure. Read this out loud to him. Give him the money. He'll give you something. You bring it home. You wrap it. That's all you got to do. Like, really, she did it, by the way. Thank you, Mom. I appreciated the Dreamcast that year. But you really had to, like, lead her into it. Just like I'm sure a lot of people of our generation really had to lead, like, you know, the people with the money, you know, make sure that they spent it the right way.
Yes. So that's all to look forward to. I'm excited for Christmas, and having kids of my own, it's great seeing them light up as soon as they see some game that I bought them. So yeah, it's really cool. And well, what are we doing today? What games? Where do you want to start with the games of the year? Where would you like to start?
I mean, I don't like naming like this was the best game of the year. This was you. I mean, there are games that I would consider to be the best games I've played so far this year, and yes, I try to stay away from the duds, but there were definitely some games that hit a lot less in the peripheral than I thought they would. I think we should just get like the main one out of the way here. If you guys had watched weeks earlier when Starfield came out, I was super into it. And honestly, my opinion of that has not changed that much. It is a fantastic game. It's a big game. It's a very big game. And honestly, I feel like this year, two games in particular, Starfield and Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, they were so big and gave me so much to do that in a way I felt overwhelmed. And once I feel overwhelmed, I started to lose interest very quickly. There were plenty of good, like, more focus games that I'm sure we'll talk about as this stream goes on. But especially Starfield. Zelda, I'll give the benefit of the doubt to, because as big as Zelda was, that's more of like a surface problem. Like, there's just so much land to cover. Whereas with Starfield, it's like the ships, you know, your crew, planets, and all this stuff like that. You really gotta
I thought
on.
Starfield didn't quite deliver. It delivered on story very well, but I just thought they really didn't make the space flying bit fun. They didn't. That was just nowhere near as fun as like other games, like No Man's Sky. Flying in that game is fun, but not in Starfield. It's just like, ugh, do I have to fly? Can't we teleport there?
I almost wish the fighting aspect in Starfield when you're flying was more turn-based. Because I feel that's if you ever watch like Star Trek, you know, it's not like, you know, they're not on their wheel, just turn around. Yeah, Star Wars does that. But with Star Trek, it was always measured. It's like, you know, their shields are down, you know, photon torpedoes, and then they go off, and it's almost like a chess game.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Much like when two ships would fight each other in the high seas back in the day, or even now, you know, two submarines.
It took me about half an hour to kill the first guy, about 15 attempts, because he kept on flying behind me, and I was trying to spin around, but I couldn't spin around fast enough. It just drove me nuts.
Yeah, no, it's so far easily the weakest part of the game that I've played. Like, by far, like, not even a contest. But once again, the story was good, the gameplay was competent. You know, that's what you forget. I mean, I think the Bethesda style of games kind of gets, I think, a little shaded because of just how basic it comes off. But sometimes basic is good. Sometimes, you know, basic is understandable. You don't need to overthink basic. But when you got all these other elements on it, like the spacefaring, the building your ship, that does make it complicated. It just, it was a game that I probably will try to get back into at some point, but for now, until I kind of get my groove back for open world games, it's probably gonna stay on the back burner.
Well, I really enjoyed the planets. Once I got to the planet, I was there. It was fun. The shooting sequences were really good. The maps on the planets were really well done. but the UI was horrendous. Why can't you just give me another gun when I run out of bullets? Why do I have to go into this complicated menu to try and find a gun? Things
Especially
like
consider that Fallout was much smoother than that. You know, like when you're playing Fallout and you run out of ammo, it's much easier. It feels more fluid to change your weapons, and it's like the same developer, the same engine practically. So I agree with that. That was just very cumbersome,
and
especially when you did the right way at first.
Oh, the mining was so satisfying. I love that mining ray gun. That was just like the greatest thing in Starfield. Why can't we have that and then really fun guns and take away the spaceship and you have a blockbusting game that I think everyone would have liked? Maybe they just tried to do too much.
You know, and we talk about DLC, and while I'm just like, ooh, the game's gonna get bigger now. Hopefully they do like tweak some things, because that seems to be the norm today with games like that. Although not too much, because there was a really good game underneath that. I can't say if it deserved to be named one of the games of the year, but it's definitely not even touching game of the year. Not even not even looking at the podium. You know, so you know, I think that was my most meh game of the year, I guess. You know?
I assume that Zelda will win game of the year. It makes the most sense for it to win. It was a very, very competent game. It was really, really well made. The story in it was great. Everything was great about it. Probably the only thing that made it hard to play, like you said, was the size of it. There was just so much to do, and you just if you got not as much time these days, sometimes those bigger games can be just too much. But I love the depths and I love the sky. I love those attributes to
wonderful.
the game. Yeah.
I actually like the sky.
You like the sky more than the depths?
Well, I like the sky section more in Tears of the Kingdom than I did in Skyward Sword. Skyward Sword, like, when I first saw Tears of the Kingdom and how it was going to be more sky-based, because I didn't really talk about the depths. I didn't find out about the depths until I was playing the game. You know, I had no idea there were depths. But, you know, all the footage of the sky, it just took me back to Skyward Sword, and I love the world of Skyward Sword so much. I love the story of Skyward Sword so much. And I hated the controls of Skyward Sword so much. You know, and for the Switch version is better. It's still not the best. Still not, you know, depending on what you're doing, it might not even be good. But it is better. So I'll give it credit on that. But yeah, when I was playing Tears of the Kingdom and I thought of the sky, I was like, all right, this is going to be cool. And it really was. I enjoyed the sky section of Tears of the Kingdom immensely. The fusing of items in Tears of the Kingdom took some getting used to. And to be truthful with you, I'm still not 100% used to it. It was actually one of the few games that actually... It was the only time when I ever streamed a game that it was actually good I streamed, because I would have people on my chat being like, oh, you're supposed to do this. Or, oh, you're supposed to do that. And I was like, nice. Thanks. You know, I tried to do it again, then no one watched. I was like, that stinks.
Yeah, I don't know if I love the crafting element in it either.
Yeah.
It just... I mean, if you're a crafting person, if you like... I feel like they're trying to draw the Minecraft crowd over to Zelda. That's where it feels like to me, as opposed to being a new idea for Zelda. It's not as thought out as a lot of the other Zelda games bring an idea that isn't around at the time, like Skyward Sword with the... Love it or hate it. The chopping with the sword... Like, that was revolutionary for its time. And like this fusing and doing crafting type stuff, it's kind of something that everyone's doing a bit.
I will be remiss, though. Now, full disclosure, I never played the particular game I'm going to talk about. But I hear a lot of chatter saying that the Tears of the Kingdom crafting and building stuff wasn't really not unlike Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts was with their crafting system. And that was early 360 days, or at least mid 360 days.
Banjo-Kazooie was in front of its time. That was way, way before its time.
Right, yeah. So, I mean, But you are right, though. It seems like everyone wants to get on the crafting thing, and truth be told, I don't mind crafting, but you can't make it a chore. You can't make crafting its own. Even in Minecraft, the little bit of Minecraft I played, it's really not a chore because it's so simplified. It's down to down to the blocks. So you can make it complicated if you want, and I've seen people do that. But at the same time, you do have the option just to be very simple. But once you make crafting an actual chunk of the gameplay, and for the most part, I feel that Tears of the Kingdom, by extension, Breath of the Wild, since there's crafting in there too, definitely stayed away from that line fairly well. But it does sometimes go a little too close for me.
Yeah,
where it's just crafting.
Sometimes I'm just like this shrine, I have to craft something. I'm like, maybe I'll come back to that shrine later.
For some reason, the worst crafting game I ever played was Shadow the Tomb Raider. I just remember being so bogged down by the crafting in that game. And Rise wasn't that bad, but Shadow was just like, oh, okay, I can't do this.
Yeah, I can see with that. And what were the other games of the year? Because they're the two. Like for me, Zelda's the ultimate pick out of the. There are some games named for Game of the Year that hasn't been named yet. What were the other ones?
Well, one game I did play this year, and it kind of got overshadowed by a game that does have a good shot at winning Game of the Year, is I love the Dead Space remake. I thought that was a really good remake. Now, a problem with it is gameplay wise, and I mean gameplay wise, down from the aiming, shooting, menu screen, it's really not that much different than 2007's Dead Space, really. The graphics are much better.
Yeah.
But other than that, though, even when you look back in the 360 days of that, it was still a very competent game. By then, dual stick, Resident Evil style controls were the norm. Gears of War had been out, so people were used to being able to fluidly control someone in the third person and shoot over their shoulder. They did change up the story a little. Actually, it's kind of funny with Dead Space Remake. They actually fixed a couple plot holes. I'm starting to think that's the only reason why they made the games, just so they could be like, oh, so that explains that now. Yeah. It does it very well too. I gotta say, it's very neatly done how they fill. There's still a couple other plot holes, but I'm sure with sequels they'll probably fill those in too. The actual game itself, like I said, really not that much different than 2007 Dead Space, as far as how to kill things, getting items, buying new stuff from the store. There's a couple new things like power nodes aren't used to open doors and stuff like that. But when you compare it to the next game we're going to talk about probably, they more or less stayed the course. It's borderline a remaster, but they actually did go from the ground up and remake the game. Yeah. Even the actual game itself, like the areas that you frequent, some are a little different, and there's some new areas, but there's some that almost look like they're copied from the original Dead Space.
Yeah. And I'm assuming you're going to go to Resident Evil 4, which made the list.
I am going to Resident Evil 4.
I didn't play Dead Space, so I've got no input on that one.
Yeah, well, like I said, I mean, did you ever play Dead Space 2007?
Yes, I did.
Okay, really not that far,
okay.
Truth be told. They changed up the story a little, like I said, smooth things out, and there's a couple little tweaks to the area and the gameplay, but for the most part, even if you compare it to Resident Evil 4, for example, and when I first heard Resident Evil 4 getting remade, that was the Dead Space remake kind of got announced after the 4 remake, as far as I remember, or at least I heard about it afterwards, so it kind of hit a little less. But remaking Dead Space 4 was just like, why? For one thing,
Resident Evil 4, you're talking about.
Yeah, Resident Evil 4. Yeah. We're talking now for Resident Evil 4 2005. Yeah. What system is that not out on since PlayStation 2, GameCube? You know what I mean? It's been out for everything. So it's available to play for everything. I got it for everything. So when I first heard that they were remaking Resident Evil 4, I was like, is that really necessary? And then plus, it's just such a tight game. When you go back and play Resident Evil 4 2005, it's just, you can't strafe. The graphics have gotten better since the GameCube days, sure. And the dialogue is Capcom dialogue. You know what I mean? And honestly, that part really didn't change that much for the remake. But it was just one of those games that I was like, oh, you don't need to remake that, man. Can't leave that one alone. But like,
was it good?
It wasn't. Oh, it was great. It was awesome. I loved the remake of Resident Evil 4. Initially, I think I liked Dead Space better, only because Dead Space was more familiar. Yeah, like it kind of adheres to the maps a little more than Resident Evil 4. Resident Evil 4 does change things around. Like as far as like land, you go. Yeah, there's a couple parts where you're like, oh, it's that part. Oh, it's that part. Not unlike what Resident Evil 2 remake did, but that was even more extreme because now you're actually changing the gameplay itself. It's not fixed camera anymore. Now it's over the shoulder. And Resident Evil 4 was always over the shoulder, so that part really didn't change. But all the stuff they change and a lot of the new stuff they put into it, you're still gonna play 2000. I think anyone who's enjoyed Resident Evil 2023 and who hasn't played the original should, because that's still a
so you're
classic.
Saying I should play the original one first or the new one first?
Now, unfortunately, though, I still think you should play 2005. But if you were to play one today, I'd probably be tempted to say play 2023. Only because, first off, it's easier to get. It's a new. I mean, it's easy to get Resident Evil 4 2005 as well. But also, it does have that more modern sensibility, and it hurts me to say that.
I just don't know how it made Game of the Year list. I don't know how it made the short list. Like, there was really good games that came out this year, and I'm kind of disappointed that it made the short list. After what you said, though, it was a really good game, but to me, that's just a remaster. It shouldn't be on the list.
Honestly, it's not my Game of the Year, but it could be my runner-up, or at least close to it. It ain't my Game of the Year. We'll get into that for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But yeah, Resident Evil 4, it's kind of weird because that and the Dead Space remaster. And for me, I feel they're linked, but if one of them had to be nominated for Game of the Year, it would be Resident Evil 4.
Yeah, fair enough. What were the others on the list? Have you got the list there in front of you?
Well, yeah. It's actually good. Well, here, why don't we just get the elephant out of the room right now? Let's talk about the one I didn't play. Alan Wake 2. That's one of the games on the air that I haven't played.
Have you got a march going for this yet, or like?
Long-time viewers will have heard my disdain on a lack of a physical copy of the game, which I'm not a fan of. I take game preservation somewhat seriously. I don't want to see any of this stuff going away. There is dead software out there. There's games that you just Marble Blast Ultra for the Xbox 360. I would love to get that game. And if anyone out there has got a physical copy of it, let me know. Because it's not available on the store. And even if I was, I think they shut down the 360 store already. So I'm out of that. And even just and I don't think that would actually ever happen with a game like Alan Wake 2. But just the possibility of that. And of course, there is the possibility that a couple years down the road, it'll be like, okay, now we're selling the Super Deluxe Edition with all the DLC. Here you go, $100, please. That's probably the most logical and.
Well, I think the most logical thing is actually what Alan Wake has done. I feel like we're going to get to a point where games don't come out as a physical copy. I feel like that's going to become more popular. And so this is just the first major title to do that.
Right. And in my personal, humble, well thought out opinion, that fucking sucks. All right. One man's opinion. I mean, I don't see why we can't have both. I don't see why anyone would rally for the death of physical media. I can understand ignoring it and being like, I'm not going to do that. I'll stick with the digital media.
Yeah.
But to just cut it out so callously and viciously just for the sake of, lowering prices someday. I just don't like that. But I have heard that the game is good. Truth be told, the original Alan Wake, I played through. It wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad game.
I didn't think it deserves the cult following that it has.
Right.
It's a good game without being I think people's memory of it is better than the actual game.
It was one of those games I actually played a little late. As the Xbox One was announced is when I played that for the first time. So I played it kind of late in the cycle. Even though it was earlier in the cycle, I played it later. A friend of mine did play through, and he always would rave about it. He said he liked it. He did like it. He's Xbox, though, so he can't play the new one. But yeah, but when I played it for it was good. But let me put it this way: that doesn't deserve the cult following it has. But as worse of a game it is, Deadly Premonition does. Only because that game's just so weird. Like, where Alan Wake does have some weird stuff going for it, kind of giving it that weird, like, David Lynch Twin Peaks vibe. Oh, Deadly Premonition just burst through that wall hard. Even though the game itself is much worse than the Alan Wake series. But it just, like, that deserves it more than Alan Wake does. So I'm happy they made a sequel. I hope it does well. I hope people that played it enjoy it. And I hope someday it'll be resting on one of these shelves. Along with my Rubik's Cube.
I want to go and buy it just so I can stream it before you and just make you. I wish I didn't watch it. I didn't want to watch it. You'll be sitting there going, "Oh, I could be playing through this before." Anyway,
to be fair, even if there was a physical copy of it, though, nothing I saw of the game really grabbed me personally. But again, I probably would have bought it if it was physical, because I usually try to pick up like the big ones just so I can, throw it on the pile. And someday hopefully it's pile bound. One game that I actually did download though, so I can be a total hypocrite about things. I did download mainly because I have to, because my PC doesn't have a disk drive in it or to put anything in.
A floppy disk.
Another game. Yeah, or those big things. The reel-to-reels. 50 style. Baldur's Gate 3. I bought that game because I really am not that used to PC RPGs. I tried Fallout 1. It's rough. I did play some point and clicks back in the day, like Sanitarium, Sam and Sam and Max is point and click. But I never really got into a PC RPG. I just wanted to try one, and luckily, Baldur's Gate 3 came out, so I gave that a go. I enjoy it. I don't know how far I'm going to get into it, but as far as I can tell, it plays very competently. It took me a while to learn how to use the controls for it, because I'm so used to controller. But the story was on point. The graphics were very on point. I would say right now, maybe the best looking game I've ever seen as of this moment. I mean, there's some other games I think that might tip that, such as Resident Evil 4. But in terms of looking at a character talk and seeing that uncanny valley get thinner and thinner and thinner, I think right now, the November 30th, 2023, for me personally, that is the best looking game I own.
Fair enough.
If you care about graphics.
So they are all the Game of the Year contenders. Was Spider-Man in there?
Spider-Man was in there. Full disclosure, I did buy the game. However, I also realized I was like, I haven't gone through Miles Morales yet. So I ended up picking up Miles Morales as well. And I did start playing some of that. And that definitely feels more like DLC for OG Spider-Man. My brother did go through Spider-Man 2. He loved it. He was one of those people. I was like, yeah, I'm going to the store. He says, are you going to get Spider-Man 2? I was like, I don't know if I'm going to get it. You should get Spider-Man 2. And I'm like, I shouldn't I? And then I bring it home, like, I don't think I'm going to play Spider-Man 2 right away. Cool, can I play it?
Is it still set in New York City?
Yes.
That's what I'm sick of with Spider-Man. I like that, and I know that's where his home is, and I kind of get all that, but I kind of wouldn't mind seeing Spider-Man in Australia or Spider-Man in London or Spider-Man in Japan. I feel like Tokyo Spider-Man, how much fun would that be? I'm just throwing some ideas around here.
And honestly, it's not like it's never been done before in the comics. There's plenty of times for Peter Parker. I mean, Secret Wars. He was crossing dimensions, stuff like that. So yeah, him going to, London or Paris or something for a while, maybe for some reason. See, the thing is, he'll be on duty with J. Joanne Jameson and the rest of the Daily Bugle as a photographer there. But in reality, he's really Spider-Man doing Spider-Man things.
I know, but I feel he could throw bagels at people in Paris, or it would be a lot of kind of fun to go somewhere else. That's where I think every Spider-Man I've played to date always feels like just an upgraded version of the previous Spider-Man. And I kind of, that's why I haven't rushed out to buy Spider-Man 2. I feel like it's going to come to the PlayStation Plus thing in about 6 months, and I'll play it when it gets there. That's the vibe I'm getting.
Yeah, right, yeah. No, I mean, just let it be. Of course, you'll know there'll be DLC coming out for it down the road, so might as well wait for the special edition. I'm happy I picked it up, and I'm sure it deserves the accolades. Honestly, though, there's very little I know actually about the game. I didn't play it to the extent like I played the other games of the year that I did play.
So that's the other games of the year. So your favorite was Baldur's Gate 3 out of the year?
Baldur's Gate 3 was good. I'll say Baldur's Gate 3 was my favorite PC game of the year.
Oh.
But my favorite game.
Ooh.
Come on, man. Who beats Mario? Who can beat Mario?
I don't think Mario Wonder even got in the game of the year list, did it?
Oh, it did good. Of course it did. It's Mario Wonder. Why would it? Come on.
I don't know. I didn't get the list. I didn't get the memo.
Look, I'm just going to go ahead and say this. Say what you will, moving left to right, saving the princess, blah, blah, although you're not saving the princesses in this one, blah, 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 blah. It doesn't matter. Mario still provides the most tight, the most precise, the most well thought out 2D platformer levels that anyone has ever produced, bar none. And there's great 2D platformers out there, especially on the indie scene. They know what they're doing. Awesome games. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like, once Mario drops, that's it. And that's the way it's been since '85, and it shows no sign of slowing down. And I think Mario Wonder is the best 2D Mario game I've played of the modern era, and that includes all the new Super Mario Brothers games.
I 100% agree. I think it was amazing. I played about half the game so far. I think there's just so many aspects of the game that are great. My only negative was the story was even less than most Mario games.
It is, yeah. I mean,
you don't even know why you're going through the levels. You're just going through them because it's fun. Like, there's no rhyme or reason.
It doesn't get tagged on Mario because he kind of gets grandfathered into it. But just the fact that, like, I don't expect a Last of Us style story with Mario at all. But when you look at, like, the Paper Mario games and Mario RPG, for example, we'll be talking about that shortly. When you look at those games, and you can see that you can have a story game, a story based, like it's just a story. Even the Paper Mario games, they're not award-winning stories, but they are stories. So you could have put that into Wonder. I think it's just safe mode. When you think of a Mario game, especially a 2D left-right flagpole game, you're looking for the princess in another castle style story. Nothing too major. Just, where's Bowser? Oh, he's 7 worlds away. All right, let's grind through this. Let's get to him. They've been doing it so long they can get away with doing it now.
Yeah,
but
I do
have to concede to you though. It definitely be, it'd be a nice welcome if they change up the story a bit.
Yeah, I just feel like it could have a little bit more in there, a little bit. That was the only thing. Like, besides that, the badges were a great addition.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The talking flowers were enough to creep you out and make you not sleep forever.
I do have. Okay, so I did get a little annoyed with the talking flowers, but I do want to keep them on until I beat the game. If I ever play through the game again, I'm probably gonna turn them off. But I just want to, like, because it's weird, just like the banter they have. It doesn't sound like it's from. It sounds like it's off, like, Twitter or something. It just sounds like just so basic and plain, just like random factoids. Like, it's out of place, but it just so. Because it's out of place, you accept it, because Mario is such a fantastic world of colors and other things. Yeah. Speaking of which, the Wonder Fruit, the Wonder Seed sections in those games.
Oh,
awesome.
how good
is
that? Yeah, that's good.
Oh, that is the most fun thing. Definitely one of the best Mario games I played in a long time. I don't know if I would consider it better than Odyssey.
If you go for 2D side scrollers, it's the best one I've played in a long time. But if you're going for 3D, then Odyssey for me is way better. There's a story.
it's almost like two different franchises at this point when they do the 2D and the 3D games. But yeah, to me, at least for my personal pick for Game of the Year, it would be Super Mario Brothers Wonder.
Yeah, I knew that. Okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't hard to pick.
But what you got? What were your games of the year?
Well, let's start with on the Nintendo. I have to give a shout out to like Pikmin 4 because that was really. If Mario didn't come out this year, Pikmin 4 would have been the best Nintendo game for the year. Just about. It was actually really fun.
Mario and Zelda. Mario and a new
Zelda,
Mario and a new Zelda game.
Yeah, it's hard to be. Yeah.
Yeah, they kind of screwed Pikmin in a way when you think about that because it came out between them, you know.
Yeah.
It was just.
It was in its own little time frame, and everyone's like, "Oh, yeah." So, but as you know, I really like indie games, and I've got a couple of those that I thought that would really towards the top of my list. So the Kingdom series, I don't know if you've ever played them. Kingdom Crowns, Kingdom 2 Crowns, and then they released Kingdom 80s, which is almost like a Kingdom's Stranger Things kind of mashup. I mean, the worst thing about it, if you're along for the series and you love the series, it just feels like a bit of a DLC, which is kind of the topic of today's show. It seems to be everyone's doing that. But if you're new to the series, it's really, really, really well done. And they've actually started to add a story to this actual game, which makes it a lot of fun. It's the side-to-side tower defense type of game. So imagine a side-scrolling game, but you've got like enemies coming from both sides. So you build walls to block them out, and then you kind of arm people, and it makes kind of interesting because you've got to try and expand that distance to take over the whole land. But by expanding that distance, it takes you literally 10 minutes to get from one side of the land to the other side of the land. So you've got to make sure that you've got one side set really well before you go all the way over to the other side to set that side up, and just grows slowly across the screen. I don't know. I can't explain it much more than that. But they added some really fun characters to the game that would join you as well and have some fun dialogue.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I mean, anytime I think tower defense, I just go to that Final Fantasy VII minigame. That was my favorite tower defense game. You build the defenders and like the trebuchets, tossing stuff down.
Oh, it's not. Have you played the Kingdom series? Because it's not exactly a tower defense. It's almost the easiest way to describe it is a tower defense, but it's a lot more than that. It's kind of like a 2D platformer met a tower defense game. It's somewhere in between that. It's an interesting concept. Once you start playing one of these games, you get quite addicted to them. So it's a bit interesting. Did you ever get a chance to play Humanity?
I did. I didn't play it VR. I did want to play it VR. Okay. But I did play it non-VR, and I couldn't get into it.
No, I liked it from the puzzle point of view. That's where I was at. It was, I admit that I only played it for a couple of hours, and it was like, that was fun, and then I was out. So it wasn't my favorite of the year, but it was definitely like something interesting. I do want to try
VR. I do want to try the VR aspect of it, and I might someday.
I feel like it's one of those games where they added VR to it just to say they had VR in it, not because you actually need VR.
That's why I downloaded it. I was like, okay, I got the PS. I'm going to download this and this and this and this. I'm going to play. I really only played Village, but it's still there.
Dave the Diver, did you play that one?
No, but actually, since you brought it up, I kind of wanted to ask you, is that an indie game?
Yes.
Is it?
Yes. Why is this?
Okay, so here's the thing. okay, so it got nominated for Best Indie Game at the Game of the Year Awards.
Yeah.
I guess the people that bankrolled that game are like a major corporation.
So it's not. It was made by one
Yeah.
guy, but then the publishers came in with their vulture claws and grabbed the game and took it to the next level. So it technically is an indie game, but it's the who's publishing you. Yeah, how it started off, it was definitely indie, and then it got dragged downhill, rolled through the shit.
Yeah, it's kind of got a stink to it this year a bit. But how was the game though? Was the game itself good?
It's super fun to play. For anyone who doesn't know, you go sea fishing, so you go diving, catching some fish. You use the money you make from the fish to reinvest into this bar that you've got, and you kind of turn that into a better place to sell fish, and it kind of rolls from there. So it's kind of like a management game mixed with a diving game. Interesting concept. It's quite addictive to play because it's quite relaxing, and you don't need to play it for very long. You know what you're doing. You're either fishing or fixing the bar up. It's one of the two. So it's nice from that point of view. It wasn't my favorite indie game of the year. I'm just going through a couple of the ones. Probably my favorite one is Crab Champions. I don't know if you played this, but it's quite funny. You play as a crab that goes around with these big guns shooting at other crabs, and it sounds
is it top down isometric first
3D behind you, so
okay.
Third person. Right. It's I don't know, it's a roguelike, so you're trying to get further and further each time. The more further you get, you'll unlock some treasure chests that will have keys in them. Them keys will then help you unlock better guns, so then you can get further and further through the game. But it's super fun to play with other people as well. So it's one of those ones where you go through and you're just playing for a fair while. But yeah, I would recommend doing that if you got some time. I've got a bit of a seafood kind of vibe to my games this year.
Nautical. Well, you did. It didn't come out this year, but you suggested me that Oceanhorn game, and I did play quite a bit of that. Maybe you just have an affinity for nautical games.
I don't know. It's not intentional, that's for sure. So
next week's topic: Echo the Dolphin. We're going to be talking about all the Echo.
There was a nice. This is a lovely story, actually. It was a game called Tchia, spelled Tchia. I don't know if I said that right, but it was made by this really small remote village in the islands of in between, kind of around Fiji or something like that. I'm not sure exactly on the island. Someone will probably write in and say that I'm an asshole for saying the wrong island, but it's around that region, just for the record. And these guys on that island made this game, and it represented their island, and it was just a lovely kind of tribute to their island. And some of the money they were getting, because it's quite a poor kind of country, the money they were getting back was helping people in the town get water and stuff like that. I loved it.
Great story. And, first off, developing a game, just like you said, remotely, and incredible talent these people must have to begin with. So kudos for them for getting that done. And to actually help their community, there's nothing better than that.
Yeah. But my AAA game, so they're me indie games of the year, and I feel like they were quite worth playing. If you haven't got a chance to play any of them, go and try out those. But my AAA game was probably Zelda, but I also have played a lot of Call of Duty. And it's the same as what we've been saying this whole podcast. Feels like a remake, just like a DLC. It's like Modern Warfare 2, but a bit better polished. So I didn't play Modern Warfare 2, and I came to Modern Warfare 3, and it is fantastic the way the game is just done perfectly. But I could see why people would be pissed off if they bought Modern Warfare 2 and then they get Modern Warfare 3, which is basically a very small upgrade on where you're going. And yeah. But so they should have... they should have had an entry level.
I guess it'd be the same if you played Spider-Man 2 first and never played the first Spider-Man. So then, like you said, the New York thing would feel like less of that. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. But I feel like because a lot of them games are played online, I don't understand why Modern Warfare 2 players that are playing the same map as Modern Warfare 3 players don't throw them into the same map, and upgrade the Modern Warfare 2 people so they don't have to buy the new one. That would make sense to keep the community growing and growing,
Well, once you get to that size, forget community. I mean, that's a biosphere is what you got now.
Yeah.
You got to go into like deep, social sciences to really see what you got to do at that point. I don't got the answers for that.
No, we're getting too deep right now.
Way too deep. Yeah.
But yeah, so I really have enjoyed that. But I don't know if that's because I haven't been in the Call of Duty for a couple of years now, and this is the first one I bought for about 3 years, and I'm just enjoying it again. Or the zombies are really well done in it. They've changed that up a lot. I would give them that, not compared to the other one.
Technically, one game did come out this year, but I want to talk about 2 DLCs that I would consider to be my best DLCs of the year that came out this year. For the first would be Separate Ways for Resident Evil 4, which I thought did a great job of doing it. Like, they changed it up from the original Separate Ways of the original Resident Evil 4. I had a lot of fun with that. And Ada Wong is such a cool, badass character. You know what I mean? She's up there in like top female characters in video game history.
I love when they do a DLC and then they have a new character or really explore one character from the game that they've got a small part in the game, but they kind of focus on them in the DLC. That's like some of my favorite DLCs.
And it's such a good one because it just shows what was happening while Leon was doing his thing. Another DLC I liked was the I don't know the official name of it, but it was for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, which had some new levels and some new characters to that too. Because that game is just like the ultimate couch, sit down with your friends and just play kind of game. So just to give more of that, I thought was really cool. And the fact that it kind of hits a lot of retro vibes to it and it can provide a good DLC package like that, I thought was even better.
Yeah, I didn't get to play Shredder's Revenge. I haven't played a beat 'em up for a long time.
Beat 'em ups they're like comfort food, You don't have to. That's the ultimate. You don't have to think, and it's honestly one of the. Obviously, you don't want to teach your child violence and anything, but if anyone doesn't know how to play video games or is very just video game, they just don't know, give them a beat 'em up. You just gotta go. You gotta walk in one direction. You have to press one button to hit people. You might have to jump once or twice, and that's it. That's all you got to do. So it's just one of those. Just turn it off, have a good kind of time. Most of the time, like I said, you're with your friends. You're just talking. You're barely paying attention. It's like you're watching a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon play out. You just happen to be controlling when the action happens.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Oh, I remember those cartoons. Old memories.
I know.
Yeah.
We think about things as the year ends. We always think even further back about other years that have ended. The times we can't go back though.
Yeah. So, next year's looking pretty exciting. There's a few things coming out there. Anything in particular that you've got your eye on for next year?
Well, here, let me just. I need a little refresher here. So much stuff comes out.
Well,
can't keep it.
I'm kind of really, really curious. I'll start it off about what the new Nintendo looks like. There's so many rumors getting around about that I'm just curious to see what they actually do because my money is it's going to fail only because of Nintendo's history of one good console, one bad console, and the Nintendo Switch has been so good that as history repeats, it's probably going to fail, but it probably won't. But you know what I mean? I'm a bit worried for Nintendo and interested at the same time.
Here's what I'll do. I'll go over 2 games from every month that tickle my fancy. Coming up in January, the two ones is Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. I've always liked a good Prince of Persia game.
Is that a 2D side scroller?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of That's I want to make sure I get most of it. Like, yeah.
Because that was interesting when they went Prince of Persia 3D on the PlayStation 3. I thought that was probably my favorite one, but it really didn't feel like Prince of Persia anymore.
It is a 2D, but it's got like updated graphics, so it's somewhat.
Is Nathan Drake coming back for Prince of Persia?
Well, here's an easier one. I love the Tekken series.
Yeah,
I always it's definitely the most underrated fighting game, I think. And Tekken 8 is dropping soon, and I probably got to pick that. I'll probably got to pick that up before I pick up Street Fighter 6. I haven't even picked up Street Fighter 6 yet.
Yeah. So, I always like games at the start of the year are normally like terrible games, or they're the lesser games that weren't going to make it. So they drag them to the start of the year, so they've got a chance, some free air.
Now, for February, it's weird. The only two games I see in February that I like, Final Fantasy Rebirth comes out, which if I ever finish Intergrade, maybe I'll care about. But the three games that remakes, really remasters, whatever you call them. There's the Tomb Raider 1, 2, 3 remastered coming out.
Oh, I'm pumped about that.
I am too. If they could just keep the original Tomb Raider like levels, but just fix the controls and the camera, I'm all good with that.
They are. They're just reskinning the levels. There's a little bit more painting going on, but yeah.
Another one too is the remaster of Star Wars Dark Forces. This is a game that it was one of the first games I actually got for my computer when I got it 2 years ago. But we're talking the old-timey Dark Forces. Mm-hmm. But I love the Jedi Academy games, and it kind of birthed from that. And to be fair, even for its age, it plays very well. You're in like, Empire-style settings, so everything's kind of like sheeny, black, silver, chrome. So it doesn't really need to pump out the hard graphics. But the gameplay was really good. So I am looking forward to the remaster of that. If they can just clean that up, I'll definitely crack that open.
This is what life's come to now, where we're just playing remasters of our favorite games.
Hey, I have no problem going back to the past.
Yeah, I know, but the future's the past.
Isn't it always been that way though?
True.
Well, a new game that comes out in March old franchise, Princess Peach Showtime. Did you ever play Super Princess Peach for the DS?
No.
It was imagine a really, really, really simple Super Mario Bros. Game. It wasn't that hard at all. In fact, I think there might have been an easy mode that you couldn't get damage. But you played as Princess Peach, and it was a 2D platformer. I think it had more of a Mario 2 flavor to it, so there were Shy Guys, turnips that you could flow. So Princess Peach getting her own game again, I'm all for.
That's kind of cool. I like that. But
yeah, so and I enjoyed Super Princess Peach. I'm going on the assumption that Showtime hopefully has more of that, and I'm definitely down for that. And I'm not gonna lie, everything else is still wow. Like there's nothing set in date. Just this might be coming out in 2024, but
they're kind of waiting on the new console to kind of have a date, because you can see with Nintendo's strategy. I'm really excited. The Mario puzzle game that's going to be only a downloadable version. It's not coming out as a hard copy. What's that one that they are re-releasing next year? Mario Puzzles or something like that?
Mario Puzzles? I mean...
I don't know. I can't remember the name of it.
I know that they came out with the Mario RPG remake.
It was only on DS, I think. It was a puzzle game. So Mario
versus Donkey Kong.
Yeah, that's it.
Yep. That was a good one, and that was more of a puzzle game.
Yeah.
I'm actually shocked it took them this long to re-release that, because that's always been kind of a hidden
gem. But it's
gem.
only a download. It's not there's no hard copy coming out.
Yeah.
So we know who's not going to buy that.
No. Well, let's hope that limited run calls these people up and be like, hey, come on, we got money on the ground here. Let's pick it up. That's just my couple cents. Like I said, I will download a game if I gotta, but I'll probably end up. I would download Mario.
Alan Wake has got you busted. That's the only one that you're not downloading just for to.
Because truth be told, I wouldn't be rushing out the door to buy it physically either. It's just an. What
about if it was half price? Like what? It was half price tomorrow on Steam.
On Steam? Yeah, maybe. If you actually like lower the price to a reasonable level that a digital download should be reduced to, then I'll download it. Speaking of going back in the past, not really a remake, but the new Contra is coming out next year. Looking forward to that. Yeah, we need more Contra. Let's just hope it was better than the 3D Contras that they were trying to push on us, which just weren't that good.
Yeah.
You can't do Contra 3D. They've tried. I mean, maybe you can, but they can't. So I just wouldn't do that. But honestly, right now, that's kind of what I'm looking forward to for 2024. Yeah. I'm sure others will be announced, and I'm sure they'll the new Switch has to get announced. Like, it has to.
Well,
the boiling point is
it was supposed to come early next year, but what I've read and heard is it's coming about September, October next year.
That would make sense. Christmas, Yeah. There'll probably be a shortage. Let's hope I can get my hands on one. Another game I'll give a caveat to is, of course, Grand Theft Auto 6. But let's be honest. Even if they announced it tomorrow, we're not seeing that till 25, at least. So I'm not really holding my bated breath for Grand Theft Auto 6.
I'm really scared about that game. Basically, because of what the developer's been saying about the cost of the game should be like $200 because that's how many hours of development they put into it and all this. And they probably have, but is it necessary? Like, is it going to make the game better? Or have they been just terrible at their timelines and been terrible
Here's
at
what
their
I think it is. This is my theory. They're going to release the game normal price, $70, what have you. But they're going to say, wow, we should be selling it for this much. So people get mad. Then they'll announce the price, and it'll be just regular. And then people will start saying, like, wow, though, if it should be worth that much, there's probably a lot of content in this. Probably way more than $70 worth of content.
You're thinking they're doing it just to get a news story.
I think it's a way to hype something. Like, I think they're hyping it, saying the price might be up there, getting everyone all riled up, making sure the price isn't there. So now people think they're getting a bargain. Even though they're just spending the normal money they would on a game. It's something I could see. It's a tactic. Like,
Lighthaze World will be $4,000 when it's released.
$1,000? Come on, man. Damn. And now when you release, you just release it for $50. I'll be like, oh my god, that's so cheap.
Yeah. Well, I suppose that brings me to my moment of the year, which was PAX.
Yeah.
I just loved doing that. That was so much fun. I've so many fond memories. I go back through video and just relive that over and over.
No, that's awesome, man. You seriously living the dream. Actually putting out a game, going down there, selling it in the crowd, in the thick, in the trenches, if you will.
I was next to Mario Wonder before it got released.
I know.
You can put Lighthaze World and Mario Wonder in the same sentence for that 1 week. So
connected, man. They were connected. All that stuff. All the cosplayers, fanboys, boots, everything. It truly was flavor country, and I hope it sounds like you had a great time. With it.
Yeah, it was definitely the best. So it's and I'm looking to do some game shows again next year coming. So that's going to be pretty exciting.
Nice,
and now I know what I'm doing, so I might be even better at them, and you can have more fun.
Good. Everyone's looking forward to that.
Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. We don't.
I am.
You just have to travel to Australia or Germany or who knows where where I appear. I might go
just hopping across the world, man. Making the reach. That radio bush reach. That's what you're getting now.
Yeah, it's exciting. What was your highlights of the year for outside of games?
Well, I mean, probably like the biggest one is, we've been doing this now for a few weeks, so a lot of people, and I suggest anyone watching this right now, If you happen to go on my YouTube channel, I have a link to my friend's YouTube channel where we've been doing videos for a couple years. You can probably even see it right now with this hoodie I'm wearing. See how big it looks on me. I lost 115 pounds this year. I was seriously around 325, 330 pounds. So I kind of wanted just to change everything around in my life, if you will. Just do some new stuff, and we'll get into the game-related thing soon. But one of them was, and like I got to give myself a big pat on the back for this before I talk about the other thing. Just the fact I was able to lose all that weight to give me the confidence I needed to do podcasts like this a little better, actually put myself out there. That was a big step, and that more or less supplemented my own YouTube career. I only call it career since I haven't made dime one from it. In fact, I'm in the red, because all this equipment costs money. Mm-hmm. But it's just been such like a good, just like a little side hobby for me, because I play so many video games anyway, and I wanted something to like kind of, keep the flame going. For the record, the podcast I do with my friend Mike, we mentioned Mike on this show. He has a baby now. He just had a kid, so we can't really record too much. But I still just love putting myself out there while playing these games and talking about them. So I finally did it on my own, and it's just been on such an amazing kick. I've already collaborated with a couple people. I've met you. We've done this. Yeah. It just set me on this incredible journey, meeting people from literally as far away from where I am on Earth as I am right now. What I mean?
The other side of the world.
The other side. That's incredible. So I'm definitely, I will, it seems small. It doesn't seem huge, but just the fact that I was able to nut up and actually just really be confident enough to put myself out there, not go wild. You might get me going with talks about Alan Wake or, other things, which I'm sure you'll think of a couple things right now. But
I think you've done an amazing job. Like I heard this story and I was super inspired by it, and I think good on you. Congratulations. And it's good to see people out there like bettering themselves, because it's so easy to get stuck in a rut and it's one of those things, like I wanted to do something with video games, because they've been so good to me my whole life. So just the fact that now I have a purpose now when I'm playing something, it's given me, it helps, it makes you feel good inside. Sometimes it can get a little overwhelming. In fact, as soon as I'm done with here, I got to record a couple episodes of Half-Life Opposing Force. But, if the work involves playing an awesome video game, is it really work? No, it's 100% not. It's perfect. It's fun. And I love chatting. Like this podcast is super fun for me. I've really enjoyed picking up doing podcasts again. I haven't done it for a few years now, and just to get back into doing it weekly, and everyone that's kind of come on board, we've had like a fair few people watching through the podcast now, which I didn't expect it to be probably as popular as it has been over time. So I'm really excited about that too.
And I think I too give a big shout out to the Anything Gaming family, for watching us and sticking with us and putting in input. You guys really make it, and I too, we've got interest, which means that some people out there care about our inane ramblings about video games of the past, present, and future. And that's just from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. I can't say anything else besides that.
Yeah, well, we can say, press the X button.
Yeah. And always remember to save after a boss fight, kids.
So but it's been really good this year. This will be the last episode of the year, because I'm actually moving house and things like that, and everything's getting complicated, so I don't have the time to do this for a little bit now. Unfortunately, but we will be back next year with another season, or do we continue on this? We haven't thought about that yet, which is, do we continue on the episodes or start a new season? It's complicated.
We have time to workshop. We're hoping to do some things, reformat some shows, like do that. I do want to let everyone know, of course, make sure to check my profile. I'm pretty sure it's on the description. If not, I'll probably comment it down there.
Yeah.
Analog Kid 83 YouTube, Analog Kid 83 on Twitch. I will still be pumping up my Duke Nukem levels. Right now I'm going through Half-Life. And of course, there's always the streams I do. And so if you need to hear any of my stuff on stuff,
but
make sure you like and subscribe.
He doesn't do Alan Wake, just so everyone knows. He's not.
All right, how about this? Anyone who's watching this, tell your friends, share this. If I can get 500 subscribers, right now I'm at 228.
Okay.
If I can get 500 subscribers before the year is up, I will download Alan Wake on my PC and my PS5. All right. So I'm gonna bring this up to you, the Anything Gaming family. All right, the ball is now in your hands.
I feel like the end of the year is a bit short. I feel like we need to make it well, let's say March next year.
March, okay, March.
Yeah.
If I can get 500 how about this? If I can get 500 by April Fool's Day.
Oh yes, that's a great April Fool's Day.
Because that could be considered an April Fool's joke. So and I'm still trying to pump out I'm still trying to do the thing, shorts and all that. So I'm not gonna try. So if I can get to 500 by then, I will stream Alan Wake 2. It will happen. I will give you that vow.
Okay. I'm going to make that into a short.
Just to remind me. You're just going to send it to me every day. Like,
Yep. All right. Well, thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you next year. Also, thanks, Woody, for putting up with me for the last 15 weeks or whatever it is. And,
likewise.
And yeah, talk to you guys later. Bye.